When I wrote the script for my first INFJ video 2 years ago, I was full of hope. I didn't want to relate so much as I wanted to challenge. I realized relating is important, and that's the first step in discovery. But more than anything, I wanted to challenge you to grow, to see your potential. I wanted you to know you were seen and understood, but I also wanted to call you out and show you what you could become. I wanted you to see yourself. I wanted you to be honest with yourself so you could see yourself objectively. If you would rather lie to yourself, as so many of us choose to do, you can't be objective. But that kind of behavior does us no favors in the long run. You can only grow when you are truly being honest with yourself. The thing is, I know deep down we want to be honest. We want the truth, and we want the truth about ourselves. It's just that we know how much it hurts to be honest, and how much it hurts ourselves. So we pretend and pretend and pretend until the day we just get fed up with the pretending and are ready to call out into the light all the lies we've told ourselves, when we know it's time to slay all the pretend. I think the reason so many people out there can't go deep with the INFJ type is because we are such good actors. We cover up, evade, and elude when it comes to matters of the self. We can fool most people. We can even fool ourselves, or think we are fooling ourselves. But truth be told, I know that we are fooling ourselves. We know it. When stuff comes to light, we just push it back into the closet, don't we? We squash it down, and we throw on another layer to cover it up, to protect ourselves from what we don't want to discover about ourselves. But when someone sees through the evasion and calls us out, I think it's first met with anger, because that's the protective instinct kicking in. They can't know me. How dare they speak to me like that? But that's just our denial talking. We know better deep down, because the reason we are angry is because we know it's the truth. So you can throw down another layer and continue to nurse that self-denial, or you can admit that it's time to grow up into your potential. And that's what I want to challenge you to do here. It happened to me. I hid for so long, living in self-denial, and worse yet, adding to the layers in my denial. Then one day, it was all over in a split second. I was dodging and evading and hiding behind layers when asked a direct question. This person responded to me point blank. You didn't answer the question. You may be able to get away with that with others, but not with me. That was the minute I knew the jig was up. I was terrified, but I was also elated. I had been spotted and called out for my delusions. And when you're called out in such a way, you know the jig is up. I knew it was all over for me. I couldn't go back into hiding. I couldn't keep lying to myself about who I thought I was. It was time to stop hiding from myself. You've been seen here in this place, if you've listened to my words. So I have a question for you. Are you going to go back into denial after hearing it? I didn't. I decided to be honest with myself that day, and it was the best thing I ever could have done for myself. We've all heard the quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Cardinals, as well as other birds, do this thing where for weeks, day in and day out, they see the reflection on a surface and attack it, thinking they are attacking an enemy. They will fly at the reflection of themselves, they will peck at it and try to intimidate it. All they're doing is fighting themselves. In a sense, they are their own worst enemy in this regard. And that's what insanity is. It truly is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting things will turn out differently this time. I was this cardinal. I was attacking myself, but was too stupid to know it. I thought I was protecting myself, but all I was doing was allowing myself to live in my delusions. That's the INFJ problem in a nutshell. We are master pretenders, masters at self-delusion. We want to know ourselves, but we know deep down how much it's going to hurt when we decide to be honest. For some, it's been years in the making, this delusion. All those layers we've laid down. Are they protective layers, or are they lies? Are we protecting ourselves by lying to ourselves? And if that's true, then are we protecting ourselves from others as we want to believe? Or are we attempting to protect ourselves from the truth about ourselves? You are doing no favors to yourself by protecting yourself from yourself and denying the truth that we know deep inside, but want to squash down and never let out into the light. Self-denial is insanity, and for many of us, self-delusion is the thing we nurse, protecting it with every ounce of our beings, adding layers and layers and layers to cover up the delusion. For most of us, we spend a good portion of our lives living in such an insane way. We know we're different. We've known it since we were children. But because we couldn't make sense of how we were different and why we were different, we spent many years persisting in insanity, trying to live like everyone else. We pretended and tried to fit in and lied to ourselves about what we already knew. And then we got frustrated because we knew we weren't meant to live that way, but yet we didn't know how to live differently. Until the day when you realize that that is insanity and you want to get off the hamster wheel and you truly are ready to try something different. I think that's the source of frustration for many of us. Reading my comments, I see many people here who have woken up to their own insanity, so to speak. And again, I believe there are reasons for why we tried to fit in for most of our lives. I'm not going to reiterate those reasons here, but I think many of us have gotten to the point where we have woken up to this realization of what we're doing to ourselves by continuing to deny who we are, going round and round in the hamster wheel in the same way as everyone else is doing it. It's easy to follow along with the masses because the path is well worn and it's obvious where to go. You can see where the grass has been stomped down. You can see all the footsteps out in front of you, so it's not difficult to follow this path. And I think that's why so many of us for so many years followed it, because it seemed to be the way everyone else was going. But we knew this path wasn't right for us in the way that most seemed to be walking it. But it's difficult to take another path. It's difficult to go down another road where, in some cases, we don't know if anyone has gone before. We don't know if there's someone ahead of us to guide us or to hold our hand in that way, and it can be a bit scary when we decide to get off the treadmill and strike out on our own. I think when you finally realize who you are, that's what gives you courage. Self-awareness just gives you the courage to choose your path, to make a decision with confidence. It's what gives you bravery, because you're tired of the insanity, so you're ready to try something different. Different usually meaning purposeful direction. When you listen to things like this, it sounds all grandiose, doesn't it? I'm not trying to imply that you are supposed to live some superhero existence where you start a quiet revolution to change the world. In reality, probably all of you listening to my words right now are going to live very ordinary lives. But I'm trying to encourage you to be beautiful in the ordinary, to be special in the ordinary. Most people, no matter who you are going to live very ordinary lives. But what sets us apart as individuals, what makes us special as individuals, is doing what we were meant to do in life. For us, when we try to live like everyone else in the way that everyone else is doing it, we will be dissatisfied. So we have to find our way in it. We have to find our place in it. And I realize it's difficult because when you don't know anyone else going on the path you know you must travel, it can be intimidating. I think sometimes, just like the cardinal, we become our own worst enemy. We are lacking a proper understanding of what it means to travel your own path. In the end, we are all human beings. We are all journeying through life together. It's important to remember that we are not alien creatures, even though it may feel that way at times. We are human beings just like everyone else. I realize the relief in discovering this type thing and putting a name to it because it gives you a sense of belonging, or it helps you to see that you're not as different as you thought you were. But that's the irony in it. You discover this only to segregate yourself further and to congregate with people just like you. But I don't believe we should be congregating for too long with people who are just like us. I understand it's a relief to know you're not alone, but it's not helpful to dwell in those places for too long of a time where all the others are just like you, because what it ends up doing is becoming a crutch. You end up feeding each other's delusions. You end up supporting one another in your feelings of loneliness and isolation. And then that becomes all you talk about. It handicaps you from going out in the life you have and doing what you are supposed to be doing. It's not helpful. For example, let's say you are a neurosurgeon. Are you going to want to hang out with other neurosurgeons day in and day out? You might have a neurosurgeon conference. Perhaps you get together, or perhaps you call up other neurosurgeons for specific advice because you know they understand, they've done the job, and they know what it entails. They can give you some support, and that's a good thing. But you're not going to want to hang out with the neurosurgeons day in and day out. If all the neurosurgeons do is spend their time together talking about how special they are, how rare they are, and how there aren't that many of them in the world, along with all the unique problems they face, then what ends up happening? None of the neurosurgeons go out and actually perform surgery. They all just live in an artificial environment where they're just supporting one another and not doing the job they're supposed to do. Ultimately, they stop being neurosurgeons, don't they? To alienate yourself from others is actually a terrible thing. It's to make yourself indifferent to those around you. To believe that you are an alien creature is to just alienate yourself from the rest of humanity. It's just to make us special snowflakes even more, and that's not helpful for anyone. Even though we are different, we are still human beings. Let's not alienate ourselves further by giving each other even more labels, which encourage this separation from humanity. We're still a part of humanity. We still have a role to play here, and it's an important role. We all have important roles, no matter who you are. I just think for us, the difficulty lies in finding out what that role is because we don't know ourselves. And that's why you have to be honest with yourself. You have to discover who you are so you can see your place in this ordinary life. Your puzzle piece isn't meant to sit on the table alone and never be joined with the others. That's what terms like alien and rare and special snowflake and all those things do to us. It makes us just want to keep our puzzle piece separate from the others. And that's not the point in life. We shouldn't be indifferent. We shouldn't be estranged from others or withdraw ourselves from others in such a way. Life is clear-cut for most of the world, isn't it? Go to school, get a career, get married, have children, die. Most don't overthink it. They just get on with it. In typical INFJ style, we overthink life. We overthink our place in life to the point where we end up doing nothing in life. I've spent hours overthinking the basics, trying to glamorize my place in the hive. It's what we do, but it becomes a handicap when we overthink it too much. Let's be honest. In reality, we probably will do what most of the world does, or at least a combination of those things. Go to school, choose a career, get married, have children, and die. It might not be exactly that way for some of us, but the basics are there. But who are we in it all? How can we add our unique stamp in a way which benefits those around us? I can't give a magic answer for all of us. I see myself as a resource here. You can listen to my words to help you understand yourself, but it's up to you to do the work to figure out your place in the puzzle, to see how your puzzle piece fits with everyone else's. And I think when we discover this label, terms like rare and such just end up putting more pressure on us because we feel we have to do something extra special. We have to do something extraordinary because we aren't like everyone else. And I think that's an unrealistic expectation because it puts in mind a superhero type. We have to do something on the level of a superhero, and that's not true. Being truly extraordinary is finding your role in life, the life you now live, in the unique way which suits your talents and abilities in life. I'm not saying you can't quit your job and find a more fulfilling situation in life, because that could happen. If you sit down and assess your strengths, you could make something like that happen. It's okay to dream big, but my advice is to be realistic in your expectations. Know when to be idealistic and know when to be practical. The reality is we all have to make a living in this world and exist, so we have to find our place in it. What does that look like for us? What does that look like for me? What does that look like for you? That's where self-awareness comes in. Because when you see that you are different, it finally gives you the ability to add your piece to the puzzle. Different will finally mean good, and not bad or misunderstood. Different means finally understood as defined by you, not by somebody else. Different now has purpose and direction, as opposed to the past, when different meant clueless and wandering. You are more than INFJ. You are who you are because of your genetics and the environment you've been brought up in. You are who you are because of your life experiences. All of these things have shaped you into the unique individual you are. There's no one else in the world like you. And as I mentioned in one of my videos, does this make you special? Not necessarily. I believe what makes us special is when we see ourselves for who we are and we develop the gifts we've been given and add our piece to humanity's puzzle. That is what makes us special. Being special is to join our piece with the others. It's to fill in the gap that is waiting to be filled by someone like you. I started making videos here. I saw a gap. Lots of videos about INFJ functions and generic observations, many being made by those who lack experience in life or who aren't INFJ and therefore might not be able to fully understand. There was a gap, so I decided to fill it. Could others fill this gap? Absolutely. I'm not the only one with the skills to do it, but I'm doing it in my own unique way, and it's helping others. You can do this too. You complete a picture. You have a part to play in the picture. We all do. We're all blessedly ordinary in this, but we all do it in our own unique way. And I know, as this INFJ type, that for us it probably has to do with people. It probably has to do with helping people in some way or another. But you can do that in your everyday life, and you can do it brilliantly. You don't have to have an official role, such as a counselor or a motivational speaker or anything like that. You can do this beautiful thing right where you are. You can do it in the job you currently have. You can do it as a parent. You can do it in many roles in which you find yourself in life. And that's what I mean about being ordinary, and that's what I mean by being beautiful in the ordinary. If you think about it, how many people in your life have the potential that you do for helping people in the way you uniquely can do it? When you know who you are, that's when the amazing things can start to happen. I understand the struggle, and I want to encourage you not to be discouraged. I know we will all have our times of discouragement, but at heart, we are idealists. A cynical INFJ is a sad INFJ. It's not how we were meant to go through life. We are quiet idealists. We always have hope. And I know it's difficult. I won't sit here and pretend it's not. I don't sit here in my ivory tower telling you to be encouraged. I know what it's like to have a difficult life. I know what it's like to go through terrible times. So when I say you should have hope, I am saying this as someone who has been in the trenches as well. I've known tragedy and loneliness and disassociation and frustration and fear and self-detachment. But there's something in me that keeps me going. There's something in me that won't let me give up, because I have also seen beauty and joy and loveliness and perseverance and intelligence and artistic creativity. You have seen these things too. We have hope for the world. No matter what's happening around us, there's always hope. I don't have to go any further than the comment sections here to see all the hope. I am so encouraged after reading so many of your comments. I see how many of you are waking up to who you are. You're tired of the hamster wheel. You want to know your place in the puzzle, and it encourages me greatly. I can't give specific advice. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you the decisions you have to make. As I said before, we all have different experiences in life, which brings us to a certain point. I think to find your place in life, you have to know who you are. And that's why I'm encouraged, because I see so many of you standing there now. You've opened the door and you're standing there, and you're ready to go out and live life as yourself for the first time, perhaps in many cases. Maybe you've spent many years denying who you are, or maybe you've spent many years in confusion about who you are, or maybe you've spent many years suppressing who you are, but you're at this point now where you're tired of that, where you're tired of feeling sorry for yourself and being your own worst enemy. You're tired of banging your head up against your reflection over and over again. So my encouragement to you today is to discover who you are. Put work into learning who you are. See how your puzzle piece fits. Different does not have to be a curse. It can be a blessing. Live right where you are, but change your mindset so you can live differently, but finally with purpose.